I'd like to do is after this meeting next week, get back to the board at its next regularly scheduled meeting about what was discussed and whether the board should exercise their right to vote and indicate an interest in participating in the GIC at the next available opportunity. So we are proceeding. We'll continue to have our meetings with employees, but ultimately the decision will come to the board and to administration to decide whether this is something that we believe is truly in the interest of the town of North Reading. Number 3, the board's next scheduled budget workshop with municipal department heads is January 14th. You have a copy of the schedule, which is attached to the back of my report this evening. You can see that we start at 7 p.m. and we run continuously until about 10:15 p.m. And that will provide that we're meeting on a 15-minute interval basis. I think there are some departments that probably will be done in 5 or 10 minutes, and there'll be other departments that'll probably take 20 or 30 minutes. This is the calendar. All the department heads have been notified. If you'd like to meet at 7 or you'd like to meet at another time, let me know. We can make any arrangements and adjust the schedules to have people in before the board.
Excuse me, my name is Chair.
Yes.
Does anyone on the board want to meet earlier that night? I wouldn't be opposed to it, because I think we will go over on some of the budgets, as we know, and I don't know. That's totally up to the board, Don.
Yeah.
You know,
We're scheduled right now for 7.
Right, but I mean, we generally run over our time limit on our budget discussions, and I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not strongly suggesting it, but I could start at 6. I don't know about Steve and Phil and Bob.
Fine, whatever everybody wants to do.
6 is okay with me. We had suggested that we might do that.
It would get everybody out of here, hopefully an hour earlier, including our department heads, you know?
Yeah.
If that's okay with you, Steve, I don't want to...
So it'll be 6 p.m.?
If it isn't, a few of the department heads will be happy I'm not here, so it's okay.
Pardon?
I said if it isn't okay with me, a few of the department heads will be happy I'm not here. That's okay.
So we'll start at 6 p.m. You'll let Linda know.
Jim, we'll post it,
Push everything up 15.
and we revise our schedule, I'm sure.
The other
they'll
thing
line
is,
up.
it would seem to me that, 15-minute increments, some are gonna be more, maybe some will be a little less. So we don't have to sit and wait. If we get ahead of ourselves, will people come a little bit earlier?
They'll be notified. I know there are those that like to sit in their office until 1 second before their presentation. We'll put those people to the end of the meeting. We'll put those people at the beginning of the meeting. The smaller departments, obviously, at the beginning of the meeting, so we can get them in and out as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Some of the larger departments toward the end.
Okay.
Number 4 is update on the snow and ice budget. You received a memo from the finance director in your packet this evening. It was not in the weekend version. It indicates that the snow and ice budget for this fiscal year is now overdrawn by $139,150.93. The board needs to declare a snow and ice emergency as provided by state law, Chapter 44, Section 31D. As you can imagine, the fiscal year will likely end with a large deficit in the snow and ice account, and it is one of those accounts that the public may be interested in. You can overspend. It's one of the few that you can. And that deficit will need to be addressed either in April or at the start of the next fiscal year. And finally, the Finance Committee will also need to vote approval of a snow and ice emergency at their meeting, which is scheduled for this Wednesday, and they will be receiving the same information as well.
We need a motion.
Yes, and there is one attached.
Show in the back.
Right. Mr. Chairman, I move to declare a snow and ice emergency in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 31D.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Harris, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Thank you. Last item is the mentioning that I'll be at the Mass Municipal Conference in Boston, Friday and Saturday. And I will report back to the board on conference activities at the next regular meeting. So that'll be on the 22nd, I'll be back in touch with you with a report of my activities. And then lastly, I would ask for the board's consideration of an executive session, specifically the purposes of collective bargaining or litigation strategy, and I've given you some detail in my report as to what those sections are.
Okay, is this a executive session which Mike will have to
Yes,
recuse himself?
now, the first part of it, items A and B, he can remain for. Item C, he should recuse himself.
So collective bargaining or litigation strategy?
It's the litigation strategy and collective bargaining. We'll do the litigation first and then,
All right, so just for the purposes of collective bargaining and litigation strategy. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, thank you, board members.
Thank you. Bless
Did you vote this?
Bless you.
Yes, we did. We did. Did we vote the snow and ice emergency?
Yeah.
We did, okay.
Yeah,
old and new business. Who's to start? Phil?
Sure. I want to congratulate Norcam on their broadcast Saturday and their broadcasts from now on. The station already looks much improved, and from what they've said, they have some real big plans about things they're gonna do. I'm excited. There's some programming already out there on for seniors, from our seniors gotten some programming which they're gonna put out there in the next week or so, and it looks good for the future. So congratulations to Norcam, congratulations to all the people that worked so hard for so long. I'd also offer my congratulations to the fire department and the gas inspector. We received a report from a resident that had an incident and had the opportunity for the fire department to step in, and as always, they've done a great job, and the gas inspector as well. So, and finally, I would congratulate the town administrator and the entire staff on the implementation of the phone system. I think it's going to be a great improvement for the citizens of North Reading. I think it's something that's meant a lot to me over the time I've been here, and I'm really excited about the future of that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Phil. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with Mr. Dadino on every point he made. And I want to expound a little on the phone system. This was something I tried to get put in place 11 years ago, and nothing happened until this gentleman took charge, Mr. Valiakonis. The prior administration ignored me on it, and it was deplorable, the system we had. So I want to thank you, Mr. Valiakonis, for moving forward with that. 10 years I tried to do that. Secondly, this is to the chair and to the board. I know we postponed, shall I say, the appointment of the 2 new police officers, and I believe we were waiting until we heard the budgets on Saturday for the police. I was wondering, are we going to make a decision on that, since we've heard that discussion? And I certainly heard the chief say that he did need the men because of overtime monies being spent to fill those positions. I'm in favor of appointing these 2 new officers. The longer we wait, the longer it's gonna cost us down the road when they are appointed and we're still filling overtime positions. I know a question comes up. There could be a possibility of a layoff. And yes, that is true, there could be. But when any person takes a job in the public sector now, city or town, they understand that. I mean, they don't go into these jobs nowadays as we did 30 years ago, knowing we were set, we were okay, there'll never be a layoff. That is a possibility. So I really can't accept that as a reason not to do it. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I want to recommend tonight that we go forward and we make these 2 appointments. These people have been selected, have been interviewed, have been cleared, and are all set to go and have been put on hold. That's my recommendation, that we go forward, and I'd like to hear from the rest of the board.
Okay, Mr. Venero? You set?
Yeah.
Anybody care to comment? Yes, Mr. O'Leary.
I think we can move forward too. I agree. I think it was important for us to take a look at it from a budgetary standpoint, manpower and personnel standpoint. There certainly was a compelling argument made for a force which far exceeds the current personnel levels. So we're operating at a level which really doesn't provide the necessary level of public safety that I think we need to have, never mind enjoyed. And I think it makes sense now, and I think there's been significant justification for hiring the two positions, and I think that the general public should know that, before we filled them, that we took a good, strong, hard look at the department, at the structure of it, and determination needs to be made now, and I concur with Mr. Vino that I think we should fill the positions.
Phil?
It's the amounts, I agree with Mr. Vino that, these amounts are in the budget, and there's something that I think that the police need at this time, and we ought to fill it, and whatever happens in the next round, we'll do what we have to do, but I think for now, these are people that are sorely needed by the police department, and I say we refill them as well.
I also agree. I feel that we should definitely operate at least the standard that we've had up until this point. So I feel it's necessary.
I thought the police chief did a good job of presenting his budget. He was well prepared. I had asked primarily, I think, to look at that from the point of view of concerns over balancing our budget going forward. I still have that concern, and I think that, I've wrestled with this from the point of view, the town meeting approved the expenditure of that number of staff for this fiscal year. And, I think we do have an obligation to provide that. And then let town meeting, based on our recommendations and our fiscal conditions as we approach April town meeting, make any other decisions that might have to be made as a result of that. So, at this point, I'm satisfied to go forward and fill those two positions. It's clear, I would hope that...
No, I don't think we need a vote.
No.
Because we never voted
Right.
not to do it.
Right.
We just didn't vote.
It was just, we had asked to wait for the presentation of the police budget. That was all. I would hope that in the process that these individuals are at least informed of potential financial situations going forward. Anything else?
Yeah, I do have one more, Mr. Chair, but we are gonna be doing litigation in exec, right?
Yes.
It could be done in open session, but I should hold it for executive session. I'll hold that for exec.
Michael?
I'd also like to go with Mr. Dino and Mr. Vito and congratulating everybody on the phone system, especially Mr. Balakonis, and the gas inspector and the fire department, and NORCAM, over all the new equipment. Not sure how I feel about being filmed from 3 different cameras now, but
You gotta be careful now.
exactly, be more careful.
You just can't look at the camera and decide, oh, it's pointing at Phil, and therefore...
Exactly. And pick my nose or something. You can't do that anymore. I know it's been a long time coming, but finally we're going to have a meeting of the Energy Committee on next Thursday. If anybody'd like to come, everybody here is welcome. It'll be at 6 o'clock in room 10, and I'm going to get to work, and hopefully it'll start moving smoothly next week.
Great.
Anything else?
That's it for me.
Steve?
Just a quick question in relation to the assessment centers for the 2 chiefs positions. Where are we at, and what's the timetable we're looking at?
We, as you know, we've hired a consultant. We've drafted up a contract. We sent it to our consultant to sign off. I had a conversation with him last week, and they're ready to proceed. He and I will be having a discussion tomorrow afternoon to finalize the details on the assessment center. There's some things that we need to undertake before the assessment center process begins. He needs some background information. I'll have considerable detail after we have our discussion tomorrow.